let's go ahead and move into chapter number 4. And this is where we get into integration. And one of the cool things that we can do with System Center is we can hook the various pieces of System Center together. A lot of folks, prior to coming to these classes, they think, System Center is Configuration Manager. But there's a lot more to it than just Configuration Manager. And these various System Center products can be deployed individually, but they really start to shine when you integrate like Service Manager and Orchestrator and Operations Manager and so on and so on and so on. It makes it so that the systems are going to work a little bit better. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about private cloud integration and setting up integration in both the public and the private clouds. So our first one is going to be setting up a private cloud integration. This is going to talk about hooking Operations Manager with Service Manager and Virtual Machine Manager. We'll also talk about Orchestrator integration packs. That way we can add additional pieces. Now, if you're not familiar with what Orchestrator does, what Orchestrator does is it allows you to set up these run books, which are automated procedures. And as you integrate with additional products, guess what? You have more commands that you can use. So when I hook Orchestrator in with, for example, Virtual Machine Manager, I get a whole bunch of automated commands that I can use to generate virtual machines. So there's a lot of pieces in there. So we're going to be looking at the various connectors that are associating with that. But it's not just System Center that we can integrate with. One of the features that we have is IPAM, which is IP Address Management. And IPAM allows you to manage DHCP and DNS machines from a centralized location. And we can integrate IPAM with Virtual Machine Manager. And we'll show you how we can do that as we go through. But first one we're going to talk about is integrating Operations Manager. Operations Manager is your enterprise monitoring solution. It is going to watch your stuff. It's going to make sure that all pieces are in there. In fact, you can see, we see that this is all about monitoring and reporting exactly what is going to go through. Now, again, we can see the levels of integration. So, for example, managing your virtual environment, we have VMM and App Controller. For being able to automate administration, we have Orchestrator and Service Manager. For being able to go in and delegate administration and self-service, we have App Controller and we have DPM. Then, of course, we have pieces that are specific to things like DPM and Virtual Machine Manager and all that. So we're going to connect this up so that as we have a system and it says, oh no, something's going on, we're going to hook this into things like Orchestrator so that if we do have a problem, the Orchestrator system is going to be able to take care of that. Now, of course, when we're going through and doing this type of reporting, we may want to be able to have it show up in our tracking software, which would be Service Manager. So we're going to first integrate our Orchestrator, or not Orchestrator, our Operations Manager with Service Manager. We're going to set up an alert connector. That way, if Operations Manager happens to notice that we have a problem, it can automatically generate a service ticket. And if we go in and we fix the underlying problem, instead of having to go over to another interface and click, 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 and try and get that service incident cleared, we can have the service incident clear automatically. So there's a lot of advantages to having these pieces of software integrated. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go out to our Service Manager. So we'll go into SM1 here. Inside of SM1, let me bring up the full scale view. What we're going to do is we're going to go through and set up an alert connector. Now we have actually two types of Operation Manager connectors. We have an alert connector and we have a configuration item connector. The configuration item connector imports objects into Operations Manager that was discovered in the Service Manager database. The alert connector simply brings the alert information into Operations Manager. So we're going to get into our administration workspace. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and select our connectors. So we have our connectors right here. Now I've already got these integrated, but I am going to be able to show you some of these as we go through. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to say that I want to create a brand new connector, and these are the types of connectors we have. We have an Active Directory connector, Configuration Manager, Operations Manager, Operations Manager. This is the alert connector, and this is the configuration item connector, the CI. We also have an Orchestrator connector, and we have a Virtual Machine Manager. So what we're going to do to start off with is an alert connector. Now I already have I believe I have an alert connector. Yes, I do have an alert connector. So it's going to give me a little bark. It says, hey, wait a minute, you've already got one alert connector. Are you sure you want to create another one? And we'll just say, why, of course. We're quite sure of that. So we'll say next. And we will give it a name. We'll say this is our ALERTCONNECTOR. CONNECTOR. There we go. Live class. Woohoo! And we'll get into some server details. What is the name of the server that we're going to be putting in here? We're going to say London om1.contoso.com. All right, and we have a run as account. We're going to be running as an administrator, and what I can do is I can test the connection to make sure that we do have the connectivity. I have to put in my password so they know I'm not just some evil hacker who happened to get access into the interface. And we'll give it a second. We'll say next. Oh, it's thinking about it still. So we'll give it just a moment. It's going through and testing the connection.